Hi, everyone that's joining us. We're just getting started. I'm happy you're all here. My name is Heli Nehama. You got all the invitations from me and the emails and everything. So you heard my name quite a lot. And I'm really happy you're all here. I was just starting by saying this is really cool because it's the first time we're doing kind of like an open participation workshop rather than a more expert-led session, which is really cool. And I'm excited to start with Heli. I'm just gonna start like 4 minutes tops just to share a little bit about our community and Juno Journey, and then we're gonna kick it off. Thank you for your patience and understanding. So let's start. If it wants to work with me or no. Oh, all right. So the Learning Table community was kicked off about a year and a half ago. We've been very fortunate to have a very fast-growing community with a lot of incredible hubs across the world, where we offer mostly four pillars, online webinars and workshops. I recognize in the audience also more members that led these sessions, and ones like Jason, who is a top student of ours that joins us a lot, which is exciting. We also have community networking events in main hubs in the States and in Europe and in Tel Aviv, which I invite you all to make sure you're part of the community so you can get invited to. Some more exclusive events for senior leaders and programs to make some professional matchmaking, connecting people professionally that can support and help each other. And I really welcome you to reach out if you ever need something like that, because we do have a very large community and a lot of incredible people I'll be happy to connect you with. Just a few words about Juno Journey as the host, and then I'm shutting up. Juno Journey is a learning and development platform that's really here to support L&D, HR, and talent development leaders. In this very fast-changing world, there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear and a lot of changes that need to happen. And in that madness, in many cases, everyone turns to us, to HR and L&D leaders to kind of like say, how do we do this? Lead the organization through this massive shift of change management and upskilling and many more. And while you really need to focus on your evolving business needs, but yet everyone wants a piece of you. Everyone needs just one more thing from you. And since you're all so sweet, we deliver all the time instead of really focusing on what matters. And the truth is that most professionals in our field spend far more time on operations than actual impact. And that's really our main focus as Juno Journey. So we're very proud to serve hundreds of leading companies through basically our two core solutions, our Agent First LMS and our goal-driven development platform that's designed to turn business needs into skills. We do it with a team of L&D agents, giving professionals the space to focus on strategy and impact while we take care of the heavy lifting and operational lift for you. Our team builds courses and training programs. It checks knowledge for you. It unlocks hidden expertise and connects employees' goals to personal development plans. And if it's okay, I'll take less than one more minute just to show you a little bit of what we do. I will actually love to hear some feedback after if you want, but just really shortly to kind of showcase how we do that. So I'll start very shortly with an example of Jaden, who has a few sub-agents who are specializing in different subjects like compliance, onboarding, enablement, and so far. And their job is to turn every knowledge owner to a professional trainer, taking instructions and content, turning them into a beautiful training. It edits videos, it creates images, it's checking understanding, it's automating everything in a click of a button, and all of that with the context of your organization. So what used to take weeks can now really take minutes. So that's mini agent number one. And if it's okay, I'll take you already to the next one, and that will be my last showcasing to you. So, as we said, the world is changing fast, and mostly what changes are the required skills and knowledge and tools that we all need to master to perform in a way that will help employees take the company forward. So, based on the company's business goals and her personal knowledge of each employee's role, skills, and experience, Gemma takes any professional goal and turns it into a step-by-step actionable development plan with both action items and content to support any skill gaps. And she also finds the best experts in the company to mentor their journey to success. So that was, in a very short nutshell, a little bit about who we are. And now let's talk about the star of today, about Heli and the Fishbowl role play. I actually had the pleasure of working with Heli when she was working with Juno Journey as a customer. And ever since then, I've been a big admirer of her work, and I had the privilege to meet her again as part of our community in the US, in San Jose and San Francisco, actually, both. She's the founder and CEO of Artemis. Did I say that correctly? OD, which is a boutique organizational development firm. She's probably going to say more about it. But I think like what she really does best is really bridging the gap between like training and transformation. So learning is not just like staying in the room, but actually improving performance. She works with a lot of really interesting tools, writes very interesting content. She herself is leading communities for L&D leaders. So without further ado, here's Dio.
Thanks, Khalil. And hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining. And thank you for all the brave ones who opened their cameras. Feel free to open your camera as well if you feel comfortable. This is a safe space for us to learn together. And this is going to be an engaging session. So feel free to open your mic, ask questions, write in the chat. Cleo is on the chat, so if I will miss anything, she will let me know, right, Cleo? Thanks.
You know it.
So, yeah. So we're going to talk about fishbowl role playing today. So I want to walk you through kind of what we're going to talk about. But I also want to share a short story about how I ended up talking about this content, like why fishbowl role play, why is it relevant? And it actually started when I was 18 and I joined the military for about 2 years. I was a basic training commander. And after pretty much hating school and not being such a good student, I started excelling. And the reason I started excelling was because the learning was very, very experiential. So when I was training to be a basic training commander, you go through 2 weeks of basic training, and then for about 3 months, you only practice. So every time someone else is the commander, and we all, see their performance and give them feedback. And it's kind of like 3 months of only doing fishbowl role playing in a way. And it was very inspiring, and it got me to really excel in what I do. And it also continued when I entered the corporate world, where we did a lot of that as well. So I really felt the power of this tool. And when I started doing facilitation internally within the company, things started to be more challenging. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on, what was the challenge and how I ended up creating this framework. So we're going to start by understanding what do we mean when we talk about fishbowl role playing? What is it? Just so we're aligned. We'll talk a little bit about the mindset shift that can help us make this tool safer and more effective. We're going to do a live fishbowl role play demo where hopefully one of you will be brave enough to role play with me, and we'll see how this experience comes to life and how you feel when you experience this framework. And then we'll go over the framework itself, learn about it, and understand why it works. Sounds good? Can I have a thumbs up? Excellent. So I want to start with asking you a question. Feel free to share, scan the QR code or open a browser and write slido.com with the code that you see on the screen. And I want you to answer this question. What is the one thing that learning cannot happen without? Thanks, Melinda. I'm excited for this session as well. Out of all these options, what is the one thing that learning cannot happen without? What do you think? I'm gonna give it one more minute for everyone to answer. Okay, interesting. So most of you thought that motivation to learn is the one thing that learning cannot happen without. And I definitely agree, because we can learn without psychological safety. We might learn from like the negative perspective of it. Sometimes we can learn by getting inspired. And even if the framework isn't very clear and the tools aren't super clear for us, we can still learn. But if we don't want to learn, if there's no want, need, or motivation to learn, we won't get it, right? It reminds me of like every time someone tries to explain a recipe to me. I have a few friends here that keep trying to say, I say, oh, something is so tasty. Oh, it's nothing. You just put onion and that's it. My ears just shut down. I cannot understand anything. I can't hear anything. Okay. Because I don't have a motivation to learn that. The same when people start explaining things in math, like no motivation. I don't want to hear about it. Okay. So I won't learn. And this is a very important aspect of learning because later on, when we'll understand the framework, we'll see how this fishbowl role-playing framework helps us create more motivation to learn and to apply the tool. Okay, so when we say fishbowl role play, what do we mean? What is it? Because there are a lot of different meanings to different people. So let's align. When I say fishbowl role playing, I'm talking about two people that are engaging with each other, role playing a scenario, and the entire group is observing them, writing notes, giving feedback, and we all learn together. Okay. There's also an option for one person to practice if we're doing like a train the trainer session or we're doing public speaking. So only one person will stand in front of everyone and will role play it, but the group will be engaged as well as the audience. So it's usually two or more people that are engaged. Okay, so it's different than doing a role play in pairs or small groups. We're talking about the entire group observing a role play. And I want to ask you, again, you can scan the QR code. What tends to hold facilitators back from using this tool, the Fishbowl role play tool, in live group settings? You can write like a word or two to show what you think. And if this is too complicated for you, technically, you can also write it in the chat. What tends to hold facilitators back from using fishbowl role playing? It's unpredictable. Shy group, I agree. Fearing people won't go along, definitely. So we have less control as facilitators. People don't want to participate, lack of participation. I see that it's um, a big fear. Peer feedback that can be inappropriate, I agree. Culture differences, definitely. Discomfort for participants. So the person participating might experience discomfort. Fear participants won't engage with it. Confidence, discomfort. So there's a lot of discomfort here for the facilitators, for the group, not knowing how to create a safe environment for people to engage. I agree. Oh, Jason said that he always called this technique the hot seat, but fishbowl, hot seat, whatever, that works well. And Bree says that she chose practice and feedback because sometimes we learn whether we like it or not. I agree. Okay, fear of judgment. I totally agree with that. Our ego is very delicate, and the fear of judgment is very big. So a lot of people don't want to participate, don't want to be judged, don't want to get harsh feedback. So there's a lot of reasons why not to use this tool. And I think if we take everything that you all said, it just feels too risky, right? So it feels risky for participants and for facilitators. So let's summarize it. For participant side, on the participant side, it's being on the spotlight, looking incompetent, being judged, getting harsh feedback. And to be honest, the odds are against them because they just learned a new tool. It's a highly stressful situation where all eyes are on me, and I need to practice something I've never practiced before, and people are going to judge me for my performance. Who wants to do that? Like, right? It's like there's no logical reason to participate. And for the facilitator, on the facilitator side, there's a loss of control. There's a risk of very strong emotions, right? If someone will be judged or won't do a good job, they can get emotional, feel incompetent, feel not safe. There's a fear of damaging the psychological safety. And also, I think one of the major risks when it comes to role playing is that the group will be disengaged because only two people are practicing. What about everyone else? Like, what are they doing? Right? It's boring. And it's not, I have to say that these fears are legit. Okay. It happens. And remember when I told you the story before of how it was empowering for me to participate in those fishbowl role play. When I became a facilitator, an internal facilitator, it was very hard for me to facilitate those role plays because one, it was very long. It was excruciating. The group got disengaged and it didn't feel right. I know I had to do it. I know it was effective, but the way I facilitated it wasn't that good. But then I started experimenting and I started trying different things. And the thing that really helped me was when I was facilitating a train the trainer program. And half of the session, half of the day was people that the trainers that had to practice their session in front of everyone. And I tried to find a way to get the group to be engaged. And I told them, you know what? Instead of just watching and writing notes and giving feedback, I want you to feel the difference in the way the trainer is working. Like what gets you engaged? What gets you disengaged? When are you interested? When do you want to take your hand and grab your phone and start texting? And when role playing became a group activity and not just one person activity, it started changing the dynamics. So, but before I dive more into like how to do it right, let's talk about why it matters. Why is important? Why is it important to do it in a fishbowl setting and not to get them to work in pairs? And I always give the analogy of a swimming lesson. Okay. So when you take people for their first swimming lesson, you don't get them to practice in pairs when they're all beginners, right? So they'll give each other feedback that might not be relevant because it's a complex skill and they need clear modeling, right? So we teach feedback. It's the first time they learn how to give feedback and they practice on each other without knowing if the other person is doing it correctly or not, right? If you've been working with a group long enough and you've seen them give feedback to each other and you feel like they've nailed it, no problem. Go do it in pairs, do it in small groups. But for the first time, they need to see what good looks like. It's also worth it in other aspects. First of all, research shows that it's effective, right? And we should listen to science. But other than that, especially when we're talking about a group setting, like a group like of people that keep on meeting, a leadership development program, a team that meets often, right? It also strengthens the connection between them because they all become very vulnerable. And first of all, we have a shared understanding of what good looks like. We build trust and belonging, and it just creates this kind of magic within the group of trust and intimacy, where we all make mistakes together, we're all learning together, and then the connections within the workplace are stronger. So here are a few examples. These are examples of participants' feedback. Specifically, these are people from a group I've been working with for the past 2 years. We started with a leadership development program. We met every week for about 6 weeks, and then we started meeting every few months. We've done many, many, many fishbowl role plays until I felt they, strong enough to do role plays in pairs. And I think one of the things I really love about what they said, it wasn't comfortable, thus getting us out of our comfort zone, and it built relationships and trust within the people in the group. That's the most meaningful feedback I keep getting from groups that are leaning into this framework and tool. And this is from a group from the US, right? I come from Israel originally. There, it's very common to do fishbowl role playing, right? But everyone, when I moved to the US 4 years ago, everyone told me it won't work here. It doesn't fit the culture. And I was like, okay, challenge accepted. Let's try it out. And I tried it with different groups and it works exactly the same. And the reason it works exactly the same is the shift in the mindset. So the old mindset is focusing on the person in the hot seat. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for performance, right? You learn the tool, now let's see you perform the tool, right? But we said a minute ago, all odds are against them. They've just learned it, right? It's a stressful situation. My teenager boy always says, my brain is not braining, okay? Their brain is not braining, okay? So I don't expect performance from them. So I don't care if they follow the framework, if they say it right. I don't care if they succeed or fail. It's not my focus. I'm not looking for performance, okay? Because the new mindset is focusing on the group's learning. Okay, I care what the group is learning from this interaction. Kind of like we did in the train the trainer, right? I don't care about the way the person is delivering the lesson. I care about where were you engaged or not engaged as a participant, and what can you learn about it for you, the way you deliver training. So we care about what happened in the interaction between the two people that are practicing. What shifted when they were able to use the tool and weren't? Was there a different dynamic? Did you feel a different energy when this person was able to use the tool we talked about? Did you feel how the situation escalated when the person didn't use the tool? What can we learn from this interaction? Okay. Because in the setting of expectations, we say the person in the hot seat is going to make mistakes. It's not an if, it's a given. Now let's learn from their mistakes, because we're not looking for performance, we're looking for the interaction. Any questions before we dive into the demo? Let me go over the chat. But if anyone has a question, feel free to open your mic and ask. Okay, Jason wrote, I think we sometimes misunderstand the concept of safe environment. We think it means making things easy and comfortable. In reality, a safe learning environment means people aren't afraid to make mistakes. So true. So the activities can be hard or uncomfortable because people aren't afraid to be wrong or judged. Exactly. And when we're learning, we want to get out of our comfort zone, right? So that's the whole point of it. Fishbowl role-playing is for learning new skills. Role-playing in pairs is perfecting the skills that the participants are familiar with. I agree. Melinda says it won't work if you don't try it. I agree.
Ellie, I
Mistakes
think
are.
if anyone has a question, it would be best that they use the raise hand. So you don't need to
Mhm.
look for questions in the chat. So everyone, if you do have an active question at any moment, just use the raise hand. Perfect.
Excellent. Okay. Let's start the demo. Okay. And in order to see how role-playing works, the fishbowl role-playing, we're going to need a tool to practice with, right? Because what are we going to role play if we don't have a tool, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you like a 60-second tool that is very easy to understand. We're going to start by writing it down, like getting prepared for it. And then one of you, hopefully, will volunteer to be in the hot seat and make mistakes for the sake of us all. And we'll role play it. Okay? So it's going to be a conflict management framework. Super easy, super simple. But to prepare for it, what I want you to do is think about a real work-related conflict. And in the chat, write one quote of what the other person said to you. So if you're in a conflict, I want you to write what the other person said to you. For example, we don't have half a day for this workshop. We can only take them out for an hour and a half. Sounds familiar? But you want the half day. We have a conflict, a disagreement. It doesn't have to be very big. Any disagreement you have at work, just write it in the chat and we'll go from there. Shiri, you mentioned different priorities from different people. Can you write like the sentence they told you? Like, what's the... Okay. Thank you all for writing. You can feel free to keep writing if you haven't finished yet. Now let's go over the framework I would like you to use. Okay. So this framework basically says that before I answer the conflict, so someone told me the policy was recently updated, we can't run the model without the update, for example. I first start with saying, what do I agree on? Like find like even 10% and just share what I agree with, or if I don't agree with anything, reflect what I understand from what you're saying. So you're saying we can do the model without the update, for example. And only then share my side and say, like, what's my perspective on it? Okay? Simple, right? So what I want you to do now is take the sentence you wrote, and I want you to, based on the framework, write your answer to it. So we're just getting ready to role play it. So let's think about the answer we would like to use. Okay. So what can I agree on? And then what's my answer? For example, I want to get better office to feel like a first-class citizen here. I can say, I totally understand your need to feel like a first-class citizen, and then say what I want to say about it. You can write it in the chat or you can write it to yourself. Let's take one more minute for you guys to write. And then in the meantime, you can take if you have enough courage to actually practice in front of everyone. Okay. Before I will ask you guys to volunteer to practice, I want to say a few things just to kind of like set the stage and set expectations. It's going to be a very short role play. Again, we're not trying to see an excellent performance out of you. It will be awkward. It won't be comfortable talking in front of everyone. But again, getting out of our comfort zone is essential for us to learn. While we will engage in the conversation, I will ask you to give a little background and share what the conflict is about. I will be the other side of the conflict, and you will need to find a way to agree with me and then give me your answer. And after we'll finish the role play, which will take about 2 minutes, give or take 3 minutes if we'll be really, really excited about it. We'll take a minute to reflect, write down the feedback, and I'll explain more later. What I want from the group to do is, again, focus on the interaction between us. See what happens if the person in the hot seat agrees with me, doesn't agree with me. What happens if I agree or not agree with this person, and what happens to the dynamic between us when we're using or not using the tool. Both of us, by the way, not only the person in the hot seat. Yeah? Okay. Who wants to practice? I'll give you a minute. You can raise your hand. Risa, did you volunteer? I
I
saw your
like
hand.
put my hand, but then I was like, maybe they won't see it.
I saw it. Okay,
Sure,
let's give it to
let's take one
Teresa
for the
for
team.
volunteering. Yes, thank you so much. We really appreciate you for volunteering. Just so you know, you're very brave and you get a star next to your name for volunteering.
Great.
Okay, so here's how it's going to work, Risa. Am I pronouncing your name right,
Yeah,
Risa? Excellent. Okay, so what I would like you to do is give a little bit of background on the conflict. And after you give the background, we'll do the short role play. When we'll do the short role play, everyone will write examples, fact-based. If you can write quotes, that will be great. And then focus on the interaction, as we've mentioned. When we'll finish the role play, we'll take a minute to write down our feedback. And then Risa will reach out to you and I'll ask you, how did you feel? What do you think you did well? And what do you think you should have done differently? I will then turn to the group, and after that, I will summarize. Any questions? Jessica, I'm guessing you're in the same office and you're supporting, mentally supporting.
We actually
yeah.
sit two desks away from each other, so I'm watching this live.
Excellent. Okay, send her good vibes.
Oh man. Just a
Okay.
question for you, Heli. How much context do you want me to provide?
I give a little
Or do
bit
you
so
want to
we'll know what we're
focus?
talking about. What's the sentence I'm supposed to tell you? Who am I?
Okay. Okay, so we have a CX training initiative that's been globally mandated from the organization, and I'm the one managing it for my country, for example, in the US. And so part of what I had to do was kind of like finalize who are the customer facing employees within the US. And so I partnered with the executives or the SVPs, I would call them, of the United States to confirm the participants within their different divisions. One of those SVPs, um, mm, yeah, one of those SVPs struggled with that. I don't know that they struggled with that. I just think that they felt like this was a waste of their time. Like engaging with my request at all was just not a priority, inconvenient, nuisance. And just, I think from an empathetic side, they didn't have time for this in the moment of intense pressure that the business is under.
Hmm.
But like I said, this is a global mandate. So it's not Risa creating this CX training. It's your company, your bosses who are saying this is what we want the company to do. And I'm trying to support you in obliging to that. So there was a conversation interaction where the SVP called me and was like, hey, yeah, what is this? What is this? What is this deadline that you're asking for? You sent this right before Thanksgiving break. I don't know what you expect. Da 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 da. I'm not gonna be able to like I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do this because this is just like not a priority. And we focus on customer experience every day. It's a part of our jobs every day. So essentially just kind of like a rebellion attitude. And the conversation was very short. And for your context, I was triggered in the conversation because I felt a bit dismissed. So yeah, that's the
Okay, I will
context.
dismiss you. Don't worry.
Yeah,
In the role play, just to get it to be as close to reality as possible, if it's okay.
possible. Yeah,
Okay, are you ready?
I think so.
Okay, your main focus is to try
To
and use the
implement the
framework we
framework.
just, yeah, implement the agree and answer framework. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm calling you. Hello,
Mm.
Risa?
Hi. Hi, Ellie.
Hi, listen, we have a problem. We have a big problem. The email you sent is a very big problem, and you sent it right before Thanksgiving, and it's not okay. I don't have time to do it. It's not going to happen. I can give it to you after the holidays, but right before that, it's just not going to happen. Just wanted to let you know.
Oh yeah, totally agree with you. We got the information pretty late from the global side, and so all I
So
sent
you're
you,
gonna postpone the program?
no, we're not going to postpone. I'm just explaining that. Sorry. Yeah, no, we're not going to postpone. I'm
So
just
how do
saying
you
that I
expect me to do it?
agree.
So my people are not going to do the training because you guys were late in telling us that you need the people? I don't get it.
Yeah. So I hear you saying that it came late. What I'm trying to explain to you is that we've already done a bulk of the heavy lift so that you just have to verify at this point. So because it did come in late, we wanted to kind of take that extra labor off of your plate. So we've done a preliminary review of the people. We just need you and your teams to confirm those participants so that way
But
we can.
it's not an easy ask because to confirm it is a lot of work that me and my people don't have the time to do it. It's like you're disconnected from the business and you're not like
Mm,
understanding what kind of pressure we're under. So it's like maybe you should contact the global team and say, "Hey, this is not possible. You woke up late, so let's
yeah.
postpone it." You know, like
Yeah,
postpone.
I totally agree that we should escalate this to the global team. So, what do you think about you asking your head of your division globally about if this can be extended?
No, this is your team that needs to do it. So you escalate it, not me. This is your job.
So,
You're
I've
the
tried
part of the
escalating
L&D
it.
team.
Yeah, I've tried escalating it on my side. No go. So, what I'm asking is you, as an SVP, you might have more of an ear for the global head of the division who might be able to grant you the extension that you're asking for. Do you want to try that?
No.
Okay. So I'll just let them know that you've decided not to engage, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Uh, awful. It's
Okay.
awful.
Oh, okay. Risa, first of all, thank you so much for participating in this scenario. You were super brave. Let's take a minute, all of us, to write down
Mm,
our insights. And if you have any feedback you would like to give, Risa, please write down for yourself what you think you did well, what you should have done maybe differently. And we'll talk about it in a minute. And again, group, please focus on the interaction itself and not the specific performance. Okay, Risa, are you ready? You can open your mic.
yeah.
Okay, how did you feel?
Honestly, slightly less awful than I did the first time I had the real interaction,
Hmm.
but still awful because you were
Okay.
really good at harnessing the sentiment, the attitude, and the words. Ooh, so good. You did a phenomenal job. I don't think I did as great of a job. I think if I can find one thing that I did, I think I tried my best to articulate my explanation and my perspective. Um, I think my agreement was maybe uh passive aggressive
Mhm.
and
What do you mean by passive
uh
aggressive?
like in the end of the asking me like if I'm going to extend this and I'm like, no, I'm not. But I agree it should be escalated and maybe if that's what you want to happen, you should take ownership of that. My hands are tied and you're more senior than me, so how about you take that initiative if it's such a problem? I think I did try to come at it in the beginning from a customer service mindset, which I usually do. But even when that doesn't work, then I'm like, all right, well, here we are. Like, so I don't
Right.
know. I don't know.
Okay, let's hear from the group. What do you guys think? Jason, go ahead.
Thank you. First, Risa, I have to say your attitude, your excitement, your energy was great. And I think that can carry you through many of these difficult conversations. Um, I think where the wheels came off is when you said, I totally agree with you. Because at that point, that means what you're saying is everything you're saying is exactly right. And so, to your point, anything you say after that that pushes back sounds passive aggressive.
Mm.
So instead, filter down to the points that that you agree with. Like, you're absolutely
Mm,
right. This is a big ask at the end of the year,
yeah.
and then give the business case of why it's necessary, of why we need to do this at the end of the year. Now, for example, and I'm just making this up, I don't know for sure, we need to make sure we've got the right people to do this training so we can launch it at the first of the year so that we can hit our business goals running at the beginning. So when you make it about the business and what the business linked outcome, you're going to get the SVPs on board because that's the way that they speak. Right. So Phil, it's good. You want to give them some agreement so that you say, hey, you're not wrong. I agree with you, but pinpoint exactly what that is instead of saying, I totally agree, which means you're exactly right about everything you're saying
That's good.
within
Jason,
Thank
that.
you so
I
much,
And
love.
always,
Jason.
Go ahead, Jason.
and always be careful not to give away your power. Whenever you say, this isn't me, this is somebody else, you're giving away your power. What you're doing is you're saying you're the one, you're not the one, you're just following orders, right? So don't ever give away your power within that.
Mm, so good.
But
Thank you, Jason.
that
Yeah,
great job
we're a
with
little
setting
bit
up
short
and
on
putting it in
time.
there. Well done. Sorry, I'll shut up now.
No, thanks, Jason. I think what I loved about your feedback, Jason, was that it was very empowering, right? Did you feel that, Risa? That the
Yeah.
feedback was empowering, right? You
I would
focused
say it
on
was
that
empowering and actionable.
and actionable. Exactly. So it wasn't judgmental, right? It wasn't about specifically the performance, right? It was about how can you take these tools and use them in a different way. And what did you see that was a bit missed from the framework? So excellent feedback. And this is an example on how when we facilitate, it's a group learning because we're not only giving feedback to the person in the
To
hot seat, we're
me,
also giving
yeah,
feedback on the person to the people who are giving feedback. So
got
we're
it.
all practicing together on anything. And if I had seen that, for example, Jason had any sense of judgment in the tone, I might have mentioned it. Right. And then this is a way to create another layer of safe environment because you know that when you're giving feedback, you need to follow the rules of how to give feedback, which we didn't mention because of shortage
Yeah.
of, but yeah. Okay, Melinda, very short, and then we'll go to the framework.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. And I liked how, one, I wish I could have seen her as she was doing this. I was able to see you, but not able to see
Oh,
Risa. And I'm a big body language kind of person. But I do like that she kept coming back to the global request because I think especially nowadays in these times, and Jason, I'm really interested in what would be your suggestion for her not giving away her power because really we are at the mercy so many times of global says get this done. They don't care how and they don't want to hear about it. I loved that you said, would you like to take it upon yourself to reach out? I thought that was a great transfer of responsibility and accountability. I mean, this is my directive. This is what we're sanctioned with. And then to say, well, I'll just let them know that you're not going to comply because basically that's what's happening. And so for me, I kind of got that sense of power that stayed there with her because she's done everything that she can. And who knows, maybe Ellie will call back later on and say, okay, you know what? I've thought it over. Yeah, you're probably right. It was a heated moment because that's kind of what's happening in these situations, right? So brilliant
Mm,
job. Great feedback, Jason. And but I do want to hear what's that phrase that pays that you would say.
mm. Thank you,
Sure.
Melinda.
Absolutely. If I can have just a quick second. So,
yeah.
I agree that that saying you feel free to escalate this on your end as well. And doing that maybe as a partnership of I am working with global here. And I did raise the timing of this as a concern, and it would probably be helpful if you did the same. That way we have two voices saying the same thing within that. Because in that case, you're not saying, oh, it's not me, it's global, which to me is what I'm saying, don't give away your power. What you're doing is saying, hey, I'm on your side. We've tried this. Let's team up together and maybe we can make a change while we're acknowledging where the ask is coming from.
Exactly. It's more of the how to say it and not like what to say. It's in the tone. Is in, am I empathetic to your need, or am I
Oh, that is so
being
hard
like,
in real
right?
time when you're being kind
Yeah,
of like scapegoated or like, it's your fault and you're the
yeah.
problem. It's your team. Like you did it so well. And I'm like, no, because you kind of want to defend you and your team's position. So, oof, yeah, good
Mhm.
challenge though.
Okay. I want to move quickly to the framework so we'll understand better what happened here. Okay. So when we're facilitating a fishbowl role-playing session, my suggestion, or the framework I'm working with, is the SFS framework. It's to set the stage, facilitate the role play, and then steer the feedback. Set the stage is everything you saw me do when we set the expectation, right? It's going to be awkward, putting all the cards on the table. This is how it's going to go, what I need from you as a group, and also how the feedback is going to work. Now, usually you need to do it, if it's a new group, you need to do it once or twice, and then they get the hang of it and they understand. Ground rules, I didn't do it here. It's usually because I saw that you're a great group, but usually in a new group, it's important to talk about safety and how we're going to give feedback. And if it's an in-person session, no side conversation or laughter, because the person will think it's about them, like you're laughing about them, or no suggestion. The only person that can suggest things is the facilitator. And then when we're facilitating the role play itself, usually I highly recommend that someone from the group will be the other person in the hot seat. But for the first role plays, it's okay for the facilitator to do it so they can see like the contrast, like I did it when you get into character. But to do it, one is to set your own intentions and energy to like hold the group, hold the setting, and make sure you're not judging the person in the hot seat yourself. Also, to keep it short, not more than 5 minutes of a role play. Let's keep a pace to it, right? And also in the when facilitating the feedback, let's do it short. Let's not repeat ourselves, right? It needs to be with a rhythm. If needed, you can redirect the person and like give a hint. Okay, remember you need to agree with me, right? And then go back to the role playing. And also keep protecting the person in the hot seat so they can feel safe, right? The only reason this role play thing worked was because Risa felt safe. Am I right, Risa? You felt safe?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. When we steer the feedback, kind of like what we did, right? We start with the person in the hot seat. We don't want to create an anchoring bias, right? That they don't even reflect their own about their behavior. So we want to make sure everyone takes a breath, reflects themselves, and then the person in the hot seat shares, and then the group shares, and the facilitator calls out key moments, and then we focus on what we want to see next time. So for example, in our role play, if we would have done it again, I would have focused on empathy. Let's show empathy in your tone of voice. So the next person, I would have to ask them to focus on showing empathy and showing that we're on the same side, and focusing more on that before giving your answer. Okay. And of course, keep the feedback growth oriented, kind of like I did with Jason, like the first few people giving feedback, just give them feedback on the way they're giving feedback. And then the entire groups understand that it's a group learning and everyone is in the hot seat, not just the person that just practiced. Any questions about the framework itself? Okay, feel free to reach out to me afterwards if you have any questions. And remember when we talked about
One
motivation in the
question. Did you
beginning?
ever have like a group where it went wrong?
Of course.
And why do you think it went wrong? And how did you react? Like, what do you do when it just starts to like go wrong?
It really depends on when in my career it started, because I've been doing it for 20 years.
Right.
Really early in my career, it was not well. I think in a few times people didn't feel safe because I didn't even know this concept of safety. But ever since I started focusing on the group learning and not the person in the hot seat learning, I don't think it's been wrong. I think I can recall one situation where I was doing the conflict management and I pushed a bit too hard on the person in the hot seat, like a bit too much. But then I talked about it with the group and said, okay, this was a bit too much, and let's take a step back.
And
And
owning what you've done, opening up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I make mistakes, right? We're all vulnerable. I make mistakes as well. Look at it. Yeah. This is how it looks like when we make mistakes.
Yeah.
One last thing before we wrap up. Remember we talked about motivation being a very essential part of learning. So when we witness role play, right? Like we did with Risa, we saw the situation, right? And we got different tools on how to say it maybe differently. We have more motivation to use the tool right now after we've witnessed it, we experienced it, we felt the energy ourselves. We saw how good the tool is when you actually use it. So now we have more motivation to take this tool and use our very limited mental space and actually practice it. Yeah. I'm going to leave you with a job aid. I'm going to put in the chat, and also Khalil is going to share with you when she shares the slides and the recording of the session, so you can use it as a job aid. And I'm going to leave you with this quote: you can choose courage or you can choose comfort. You cannot have both.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Heli. This was amazing. And Risa and everyone.